Morning. Okay, just to introduce myself, I'm Paul Rachmadi. I've been 30 years in the security risk management industry. Started my career in the police force. Then I moved on. I was with Merrill Lynch, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, spent about 7.5 years there. Started the security department. Moved on to Diageo. In Diageo also, about 8 years in Diageo. Started the corporate security department. Was involved in security, BCP, risk management, and so on. And I've worked with almost all of the gentlemen here. And now I run my own security consultancy. I'm a security business. And of course, I'm here to moderate this session. I think the other person that needs to introduce himself is Vincent. Maybe Vincent, you can.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vincent. I'm from MERS. I'm the country manager for MERS Singapore. So I run the security business for MERS in Singapore for all the warehousing, being bonded or non-bonded. So I also run the in-country compliance program, and everything is on security, right? And I'm also the BNR, the Business and Resilience Team for MERS Singapore, and also I'm the Southeast Asia rep for TAPA for my company. So I manage Singapore, TAPA, Malaysia, Indon, and Philippines. So these are the countries that I assist to manage the TAPA management, right? And so the target is to get all of them all TAPA. Okay, I'm a retired Army personnel. I got about 30 years in the force before I retire, and after which I joined LF, which actually in Feng, which was actually bought over by MERS, and I crossed over to MERS. So this is a little bit of my career history. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Okay, I think earlier we had a very good discussion or keynote sharing where we talk about risk assessment and we talk about the collaboration with suppliers from both Ratnakar and Erek. So what we're going to do now is actually we have some questions and it's going to be a discussion kind of style, right? So, do I do this? One more? No, that's not work. Sorry. Question two. Okay. So we had some questions. I think it's for the panel to discuss. I think the first question is how do companies prioritize risks, allocate resources effectively when implementing business continuity plans, especially in a dynamic and uncertain environment. I think this question may be Vincent?
Yeah. Okay, for my take, I think for resource allocation itself, a lot of times I think for resource allocation, we need to firstly, I think, identify the strategic objective of the company. So as all we know, strategic resources mean money. So who gives the say on who can give and who can take what money is the boss. So for my thought, I thought resource data, we need to identify the strategic objective first, and after which we are then able to prioritize those resources going to what to meet the corporate objective. So I think that is quite important because it's only through identify the objective ready, then we allocate, and then we can then actually see the needs from the various department itself. Which department that needs the resources much urgently, yep. Based on the BCP itself, of course. Because of course, through the RA conducted and the BCP plan that we formulate for the department itself, we will then have to have a go ahead on how do we allocate resources to support the BCP plan, right? So after which we also definitely need to monitor what is happening and then to review stage by stage, or whether we do a review periodically, whether have the resources meet the objective of the BCP plan. And of course, the resource allocation, I think, is an ongoing process. It can't be, say, stop halfway, anything, but it should be reviewed and continue, and the process will just move on and move on. Of course, there will be a time where the strategic objective need to be reviewed again, because we have to gel these two together. So this is my thought, I think, for the resource allocation.
Oh, that's good. What about you, Eric? Any thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I'm agree with Vincent, and for me, I have 3 points. I think, as we are identify resource risk and allocate resource, so we should be very specific on what risk we are facing. So we've already heard a lot from how to do a risk assessment and the concept of business impact analysis. That will help us to prioritize our focus at first. Then you have to understand then your tolerance. It depends on your order, it depends on your stock and other impacting factors. You have to talk with your upstreamer and the downstreamer to understand the external challenge. Then you would realize the short slab. Short slab always limited your minimum. Last but not least, I think well-allocated resource require the full participation of each line of business. If we are speaking of an manufacturing site condition, all of them have to be together and share the situation. Then there might be an officer to centralize this and for executive to make strategical decision.
I think both, I think, very good points. I think key thing for me listening to you guys is stakeholder engagement. And of course, from there, we work on identifying the risks, which we will eventually then prioritize them, right? Okay, question 2. What are some of the best practices for maintaining strategic vision and adaptability in business continuity, planning to accommodate evolving organization needs and external challenges? Ratnakar, would you want to take that?
I can take it. So strategic vision, business continuity is a strategic program. It definitely requires leadership, buy-in, approval, allocation of resources. But having done that, I think business continuity is a program. Program lasts for longer duration of time, and it is part of resilience for the organization. It's a brand reputation exercise. So strategic vision is very important. What are the strategic objectives leadership wants to achieve through the business continuity program? Of course, those RTOs, RPOs, those are part of it. But it also gives a huge competitive advantage to the business to run the business in the face of disruption, possibly when competitors are not able to do it. And there are up to a number of examples where competitors have failed, but the resilient businesses have actually prospered because they were able to pick up the businesses because they have the capability to scale up. The other aspect about the external threats that you talk about. So business continuity is all about threat assessment, risk assessments, or looking at what is emerging threat for the business. So if you look at today, since morning, we are looking at cyber threat, for example. We're looking at brand, counterfeits or the counterfeits is big one, which is emerging, which is actually denting the profits of the company. But most important aspect is also about the reputation that gets damaged because of counterfeit. So these are the emerging threats that that leadership needs to keep focusing on and build up the BCP plans, adapting to the challenges which are coming up. Another one area that adaptability brings in is the technological adaptation. So whether it is a business backbone technologies like ERPs, etc., or the technologies which are required for resilience perspective in terms of crisis reporting, incident management, and business continuity. So 3 areas. One is strategic support, other is the adaptability, and looking at the emerging risks which are on the horizon for the business.
Well, thank you, Ratnakar. I think all very good points. Interest of time, I think we move on. Question 3. How do companies ensure that their business continuity plans remains agile and adaptable in the face of rapidly evolving technology advancements and emerging threats? I think this is a very interesting question with Erek.
Yeah, probably I will take this. I think to ensure we always stay agile, not only yourself but also the leadership team and your internal stakeholder. Because not all of them like us to be very familiar with the external threat and the technology. So we have to utilize our intelligence system to visualize this threat and the real impact to other organizations. Then they could be conceptually stay on agile. Then I think with more and more good and latest technology like TAPA standard, FSR, TSR, and the ISO standard, you have to introduce them to your organization, and also not only yourself but also your supplier and others to be on same stage. And then last, I think with the technology, because BCP, we already have a plan there. We have to update it and actively educate it to internal stakeholder to ensure it's be very fresh by not only concept but also the detail of the plan.
Thank you, Erek. Vincent, anything to add?
Okay, I think for corporate to really enhance on to the maximum utilization of technology, so I think I agree with you, Erek, that human play a very vital part, because man-machine, machine-to-machine, of course, man-machine can help us already cut half if the staff is already very, prioritize his knowledge and prioritize his culture of how he handle the PC. I think it's a very important thing. Of course, for example, not sharing the password, user ID and password is already very important. So because I think nowadays cyber attack itself come in all way and forms, Like for example, it can come be phishing emails and things like that. And also with a lot of corporate now, especially for warehousing, using WMS system, the warehouse management system, it is more prone to cyber attack. And of course, cyber attack itself, it always trigger our, the BCP plan. So that part of it, like what Erek mentioned, during the business impact analysis portion, we should have already identified what are some of the possible risks that we are looking at, especially if we're going to employ the IT totally, or maybe 75%, 25%, all this sort of thing. So all these sort of things do have effect, especially in cyber security attack, because that one itself, they not only attack your database, it can also affect and draw all your important information and cause business to a halt. So employ is a double-edged weapon, I would say. If you're using IT itself, it helps you to manage data, it helps you to drive your business to a new lab. But at the same time, we also need to take precaution and also really focus on the points that will cause the breakdown itself. So I think that's my thought for the technology.
Again, very valid point, especially in times in our current state where technology is ever advancing. We are progressing with it, but we are also opening ourselves out to a lot of threats that we face. Fourth question, right? Then after that, I open up to the audience. If you all got any questions, please feel free to ask. So what roles do leadership and organization culture plays in fostering the resilient mindset and ensuring effective execution of business continuity strategies?
I can take this. So leadership, Vincent talked about culture. So I think leadership sets the culture, and culture comes from values, commitment, and focus. So if top leadership shows those values and their commitment to business continuity, obviously everyone in the organization abides by that. And there are 2 points which I would like to highlight here, how they set the culture. One is, of course, their adaptability, and primarily for the technologies, as we talked about having the vision on the emerging risk, but most importantly, how technology can mitigate some of the risk. So so companies need to keep investing on that part of it. The second part, which is more important, and Vincent also highlighted as people part of it, I think cultures are built and maintained by the people. So the people commitment to culture is very important, and the leadership can do it by establishing the accountability of people's business continuity roles. If, as I explained, if facility is supposed to build up the robust infrastructure, they have to build it. If IT has to build the robust backbone, they have to build. If they are not doing it, accountability has to be fixed and people to be taken to the task. So leadership can do is they can put BCP requirements as part of their KRAs into people performance management, and that would automatically set up the culture. I think very brief answer to you, over to you.
Yeah, I think that point is really great because, again, in my past experience, we went through all the risk assessment, all the plans that they were sharing. Your BCP plans or risk assessment is as useless if there's no leadership buy-in. So it's very important that in any organization, the culture, it's driven down from the top. That's in my opinion. And of course, everybody is held accountable, and that's also a unique point because I think it is important if you hold them accountable, you put them as one of their JDs or job descriptions for them to own that role, right, and be appraised for it. With that, is there any questions from the audience? Any questions? If not, then I think it's about time. I will end it here, and I'd like to thank all the speakers for taking the time and sharing. Right? We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.